This was a particular kind of ICBM. You're absolutely right. These things, there are a few of them. Both sides, in the Cold War, they had relatively few of these things. They, were supposed to fly, more than 5,500 kilometers. That was what was, a treaty requirement. They had to go further than that. And so they're very long range. They carry big payloads. And they haven't been used before. So if they were used today, it's a big signal. And
Right.
it's kind of interesting because the one that they, are supposed to have used was actually designed to blur the distinction between what was allowed and what wasn't. And what wasn't was kind of medium range missiles that, would have kind of bristled all over Europe. But the Russians began to make them. And
Right.
this appears to have been one of them.
It seems, Mark, like every release headline off of our London desk, you and Roz Matheson, we're learning about a different missile. I guess there's British Phantoms or whatever they were, Shadows, and there's whatever we had. What do we call them? Attackums.
Yeah.
Attackums
Yep.
the other
Yep.
other day. What's the next missile in the quid pro quo here, Mark Champion? What's the next missile? Do we get bigger and bigger and bigger missiles?
You really don't get bigger than this, and they are entirely unrelated, disproportionate. I don't know how you describe it, but the ATACMS are often described, as long-range missiles. They're not. They're short-range ballistic missiles. They go about 190 miles. These things, that they're supposed to have been used today. This is a massive missile, carries, a large payload, and it goes a really long distance. It's a totally different, it's not used for a battlefield. There are such things as tactical nuclear weapons, but these aren't those. These are the vehicles for the stuff that was supposed to land on Washington or London or Berlin. And that is, I think that is the secret. That tells you what you want to know about, what's happening here. The Russians have very few of these. They're very expensive, so they're not going to start using them regularly. This is a one-off. And B, it is designed to send a signal to say, we are willing to take, risks that you don't think we are. When we make threats on, that we may use a nuclear weapon, we mean it.
Right.
So they're trying to restore credibility, really, to the threats that Putin's been making since the beginning of the war, that he might go nuclear.
Mark, what are both sides doing here? I mean, where are we here? We're a thousand days into this conflict here. We have a new United States president about to take office in January. What are both sides doing here?
Well, yeah, it's a very, very good question. And essentially, as I see it, what is happening is that you do have a new, it isn't the election of Donald Trump which has made the difference. And it's made that difference because he has made it very clear that he is going to push for an end to the war as soon as he is inaugurated. What that means is each side wants to make sure that when the music stops, they are in a strong position to get the deal that they want, or at least one they can accept. So from the Ukrainian side, they're saying, please, we're not doing well on the battlefield now. Putin thinks he's winning. He's got no reason to negotiate. He's only going to ask for our surrender. So give us what we need to change those facts on the ground now. And from Putin's point of view, it's exactly the opposite. I'm in a good position now, and I do not want, the West giving new weapons to the Ukrainians that might change facts and
Right.
make my position more difficult.